The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday and welcome to a new week. And unlike yesterday's show, it is not currently 4 a.m. as I'm recording. I'm not deliriously tired, and it's not storming and hailing on the window right beside me. So I'm going to consider all those things 3 small wins for today already. If you couldn't tell, I was almost in, panic mode yesterday because it was like 4:30 in the morning. And all I'm thinking about with each big thunderclap outside and each, whatever size hail that's hitting this window, I'm like, you know what? If I waited to record this podcast until this late and I'm halfway through doing it and I lose power, I'm going to be so mad. It's all I could think about. Luckily we got it done, but we had to wrap that bad boy up pretty quick. That was an interesting experience for sure. I think I'm probably going to clip the end of the show from yesterday and maybe use it a little bit as a promo for HD Roofing and Construction, right? 5 days in the last 2 weeks, I've had hell at my house. This is crazy. April showers bring May flowers or whatever, but we're not talking about the ice showers. This is unbelievable. I think it'd be a good promo for our partners over there. Truly. I mean, I'm grateful that Garrett from HD Roofing is going to come out later this week and give us a little bit of a peace of mind with that free inspection. And why? Why choose HD Roofing? Well, because you know that you can rely on professionalism, top quality materials, and expert installation for all of your roofing needs. And if you're like me, and you would feel a lot better if you had a pro to come out and evaluate your situation after this wild run of April weather, then check out hdarkansas.com for more info and get scheduled and set up today. Should be a fun little show, though, I think today. I'm looking forward to it. Yesterday we kind of looked at all the media polls, the human polls and projections and what's out there. They call them way too early. I don't think it's quite as early anymore because rosters are coming a little bit closer to being completed at this stage in the game. Heck, it's only about a month. Yeah, right at a month until kids start moving on campus for summer workouts. Is that not absolutely insane to you? It's crazy to me to think about. But at any rate, we looked at all that. What do the humans, what do the people think about the Razorbacks? And the general consensus is they're pretty high on them. Today, we're going to check out the computers a little bit and see if there's any differences there. We'll get into some tidbits, some notes, but basically we're going to head over to barttorvik.com. Our friends, y'all know how I feel about Torvik, man, and have a little bit of fun with their updated projections for next season. So it'll be a good time. For those who are listening in podcast format, thank you so much, by the way. We appreciate you. There will be episodes from time to time that are a little bit more interactive, engaging on the eyes, besides my big bald head sitting here talking to you, that I would recommend you watch on YouTube. This is probably one of them, honestly. But I'm going to describe everything that I'm doing the best that I can. So you should still be able to follow along just fine. But we're going to be working with a website that's fun for anybody and interactive for anybody to go use. And if you're able to watch along, you might be able to go over there and start working with it without having any hitches. So just a PSA before we get rolling. But at any rate, man, had a really good time in Kansas City on Saturday over the weekend. It was a lot of fun. Checked out KC Live. The Power and Light District was jumping over there. And the T-Mobile Center, it was crazy. They set a venue record for attendance in there. It was just shy of 16,000. It was packed out for UFC. And it's whatever. This is not an MMA podcast, but the atmosphere was really cool and we had a blast, but it brought back a lot of memories, honestly. Remember spending a Thanksgiving week there in 2021 for that Hall of Fame Classic. I guess that would have been Eric Musselman's, the early portions of his third year at Arkansas. And, they played Kansas State in the first round of that thing, who was still coached by Bruce Weber at the time. That feels like ages ago, but that was the case. And I think they had Nigel Pack on that team. He might have been a freshman, if I'm remembering correctly, but Arkansas played well. They pulled away late to win that one and then went on to the title game. They wound up playing Cincinnati. It was Wes Miller's first year over there because they had just upset Illinois. Jeremiah Davenport went crazy on Illinois when they had Kofi Coburn and young Coleman Hawkins and all those guys out there. So It was kind of wild. Arkansas was starting. That's when they were still doing this. It was Jalen Williams and Connor Vanover starting together. And Cincinnati had a rotation. They had like 4 or 5 dudes that were 6'10" or taller. It was a game of giants out there, honestly. Travis Kelce was in attendance. It was really crazy, but one of the most physical games I ever remember watching. Arkansas really grinded that one out to get that Hall of Fame Classic victory. Hang the banner, right? But I remember Aldis Toney was awesome on both ends of the floor. He clamped Davenport up. Chris Likes clutch at the free throw line. That's when we first started to figure out that he was going to be that guy, I think. And I just remember Musk telling the broadcast crew that there wasn't a tougher team in the country than Arkansas. They went on to an Elite Eight after that. It's the year they beat Gonzaga and everything, but they did lose to Hofstra like a week later. So, I mean, there was that. But anyway, and then, this past weekend, I was in the same building. It was for fighting. But this past Thanksgiving, we were there at the T-Mobile Center right in Kansas City for that Arkansas-Illinois game. A game that did not go well for the Razorbacks. I think that's probably a pretty mild way to put it. But it was the last time that I saw my buddy Bob Holt, before he tragically passed away the next day, actually, over at Mizzou covering that football game. But just, it was putting a smile on my face walking around the arena, just thinking about that. Because like usual, we were the last ones out of the building, and, Bob had finished up his writing, and I had recorded our post-game show and did the report card, and we sat there and talked and traded stories, and we're talking about Thanksgiving plans and, everything else that was going on, the Mizzou football game that was coming up, and all that. And we walked out of there together trying to figure out an exit from that arena because we were the last people in. Some of the doors were already chained shut and everything. And I remember us kind of looking at each other and having the realization at the exact same time of being like, wow, are we sure that this Arkansas team's going to make the tournament here in year one under Cal? And it's just crazy how the story played out from there, isn't it? It really is. I mean, you wound up, I guess it was just a couple weeks after that, they went and won in Madison Square Garden. You're feeling good. You get back in the top 25 by Christmas time. Then you lose 5 straight to start SEC play. You lose Boogie, then you go beat Kentucky in Cal's return to Rupp. You lose Adu, and then you pick up huge wins down the stretch over Texas and Missouri and Vanderbilt and Mississippi State, all these NCAA tournament teams. You get in as a 10 seed. Next thing you know, you beat Bill Self, you beat Rick Pitino in basically a road game, and then you get your hearts ripped right out of your chest in San Francisco against Texas Tech. It was really just kind of a storybook type of season, wasn't it? It couldn't have written a better script unless it ended with Arkansas, getting to the Final Four or cutting down the nets maybe. But man, I wouldn't trade those experiences for the world. Would have given anything to be able to share that journey with Bob. He would have absolutely eaten it up. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that loves storylines. He's a writer. He's the best storyteller of Arkansas athletics that we've ever had. So just, and here we are playing the what if game. And isn't what if one of the cruelest games in the world to play as a fan? We're talking about the script and if it would have been written differently. What if DJ Wagner buried Texas Tech at the buzzer? Or what if he pitched it back to Nelly for a 3 or skipped it to Carter for a game winner? What if Arkansas would have just not lost to South Carolina earlier in the year or at LSU or to Oklahoma in the final seconds at home or whatever? What if Nelly wore his seatbelt, didn't fall off the golf cart? What if Jonas was healed up from that foot injury earlier? What if a dude didn't get hurt later in the year? It's crazy, man, because on one hand, Arkansas was playing its best basketball when it mattered most. Come tournament time, they found it. And that's exactly what you want as a coach. And also exactly what John Calipari said would happen, in credit to him. But we'll always wonder, I feel like with this team last year, what could have been if they were just healthy or mostly healthy at the same time. No, on to next year, though. We've turned the page. Appreciate y'all for letting me stroll down memory lane and ramble a little bit. I've just been thinking about that since we were in Kansas City, but we'll get to the good stuff here. Folks, the Pot at the Palace is brought to you by our friends over at the Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas. They're here for your, they're your go-to for all your vision health needs that you might have out there. Whether you're in the market for glasses and contacts or you're trying to get rid of them, they can help you. They've got that custom cataract and the refractive lens exchange surgery. It's available right at their clinic location in Fayetteville. Their award-winning, board-certified, professionally active eye doctors provide the best of new vision care technology while giving you that old-fashioned personal attention that makes you feel like you're part of the family. A reminder, we talked about this on Friday, but I got to tell you again, we got to keep plugging it because you got an opportunity here. The Eye Center of Northwest Arkansas is doing a giveaway right now, and you can still get in on the action. You just got to hop over to the socials. The Eye Center's optical department is partnering with their nurse injector, Olivia Risch. And my eye doctor over there is Dr. Risch. This is his sister right there in their clinic, and they're giving away a pair of Urker sunglasses and 50 units of Botox. Hey, that's several $100s worth of value right there. All you have to do to throw your hat in the ring is like, tag, and follow the Eye Center Fayetteville and Injector Olivia NWA on Instagram. So it's at the Eye Center Fayetteville and at Injector Olivia NWA. Follow, like, tag on Instagram, and they'll throw your hat into the ring. And the winner's going to be announced on May 9th over there. A pair of Urker sunglasses and 50 units of Botox. Get you all fixed up. We're also presented by our friends over at Basis Health, right? Changing the way that healthcare is delivered by providing medical visits at the comfort of your own home. A doctor will come to you. You don't have to go to them for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and more. Basis Health, they're here for you when you need them the most. Give them a look, check them out. Man, it's an innovative thing. It's a cool idea. Nobody likes to go to the doctor. Nobody really even likes to see the doctor, but you'd be a lot more comfortable if they were coming to you and you're right there at your own house. They're going to keep branching this thing out. We might need to start getting mobile vets. My dog's hurting, limping around. Looks like his shoulders bother him or something. We got to take him out to the vet a little bit later this morning and get him checked out. Wish they could come out to us. Remember, that was my idea, Basis Health. Here we go. All right, back to it. You remember last year, Arkansas was ranked well inside the top, 20 by just about every single ranking that was out there by media members. Anybody who puts out a top 25 had Arkansas in there. But the computers, it seemed like the consensus was that they were lower on the Hogs. I remember when KenPom released their preseason rankings, Arkansas was at 25 on the dot, and pretty much every other one had them outside of the top 30. And I think the reason why was because it was just a brand new roster, and sometimes that can just be hard for computers to project, So it looks like, though, and it's still very early, and KenPom stuff won't come out until September or something. But it looks like man and machine, at least right now, are both high on the Hogs this time around. That's a good thing. When the people and the computers are in agreement, you usually feel pretty good about your chances of having a good team. So let's have a little bit of fun with Torvik. Now, if you're a returning listener, you know all about Torvik. But if you're new here, you're about to have a fun new tool that you can tinker with. Torvik, the website is actually barttorvik.com. It's one of the 7 metrics that's used by the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee. It's on the team sheets, just one of the many things they evaluate. It's like KenPom, right? You got KenPom, you got the net, you got BPI, all these different things. Torvik is one that was added this past year, and it's there. And their website is awesome because it's super customizable, and it's filled with tons and tons of data and different things that you can tinker with. During the season, we were able to track Arkansas's NCAA tournament chances and simulate different outcomes just to see how it would impact things. If this happens in your next several games, what are your odds of making the tournament? What seed would you be looking at? We were messing with that stuff like every single day during bubble watch season. But they're good for more than just that, right? And so now they have the first wave of their projections for the 2025-26 season that's out. Now, it's not a finished product, and there's already some flaws with it, but it's cool, and you can tinker with it and make it work. So it's going to continue to evolve as rosters fill out. I mean, most teams still are a piece or two away from being complete, kind of just like Arkansas, really. But I think it's a pretty cool baseline, and I wanted to use that to give you an idea of where the computers see Arkansas right now, where they see the strength of this team, and like how certain player decisions or additions, which you can also mess with, could impact things. So it's pretty sweet. Let me see if I can share my screen. Give me just a moment. That way you can watch. Let's see. No, let's make that bigger. Not my head. There we go. Okay, we got it pulled up here. So, wow. Dang, man. It didn't take long to find Arkansas on there. 8th in the country. How about that? And these early projections here, you got Houston at 1, Purdue 2, BYU 3, Duke 4, Michigan 5, St. John 6, UCLA 7, Arkansas 8, and then Kentucky and Kansas rounding out the top 10. Wow, 11th for Arkansas in adjusted offensive efficiency. What? 9th in adjusted defensive efficiency. That's interesting. Now, and listen, we know that Arkansas needs, probably some shooting and, some things here and there, but understand that this is based off talent and projected production, right? Like Torvik's computer algorithm's not going to be able to take into account the spacing that you have on the floor, given your shooting constraints or whatever, but it's going to give you a statistical look of what your pieces are capable of. And clearly they like what Arkansas has here, because where did Arkansas rank? I mean, were they outside the top 50? I think so. Oh, hell yeah, they were offensively last year. And so I think they like the pieces that are back. But also it seems like you've added some good things in here. Sounds like they're high on the freshmen. We'll get into all that in just a second, but the potential is there. Now, here's the thing. And I can tweak this once we click on Arkansas and we get in here, but I just want to let you know they have a Adu Thero projected on this roster. So that's got Arkansas bumped up. But what you'll find is that it's really not going to change things too much once we take him out and move some stuff around. So let's go in here and see what we can do. We'll mess around with some of the various columns in here and have a little bit of fun. Let's see what we got. So when you click on a team, what it does is it gives you the top 10 projected contributors in there. And you can see that right now with Arkansas. You see Thero is on there, and we'll be able to pull him off here in just a minute. But it's got all the other guys listed in here that you would expect. And then outside of that top 10, so it just doesn't really account for them, it's got Kareem Rattel and Jaden Carletwa. So it's almost right, not quite. But if you look at the top a little bit higher, we have different options to customize this. So you can subtract a player, you can add a transfer, add a senior, somebody who's off the team, just because, like some people do that thing where it's like, oh, if you could add a Razorback from the past or whatever, well, you can do that here. You can add some freshmen. They've got them in here. So it's kind of cool and it's customizable. And if you look at the bottom, it's still got your projected adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency and where you rank nationally. And then when you tweak these things and it spits out the new data, then right below that, you say you got before and after. It'll tell you what changes are made. So the first thing I want to do here is let's just take Adu Thero off and submit this. And you see Arkansas here where they wind up dropping to. It takes a little bit of time for the computer to spit it out. There we go. Okay. And so now what it did is it drops Thero out of the equation. Rattel would then move into your top 10 of your projected contributors, and then you see the difference. So you look at Arkansas, and they drop from 8th in the ranking down to 12. So yeah, I mean, obviously you're gonna drop down a few spots when a guy like Thero is not there, and they just haven't updated it yet. And it's whatever. A lot of teams are in the same situation, but still, you've got an Arkansas team that they project with the guys that you expect to have as of right now. That's without any other additions. 12th in the country. And what I wanted to do, I got to write this down because you can't, like if I went back right now to the main set of rankings, it wouldn't account for the moves that I just made. So I wanted to write down the change. So offensively for Arkansas, they would go to 116.9 on offensive efficiency and then 93.4, which is not quite as good on defensive efficiency. And that's basically like points per 100 possessions is how that works. So I just wanted to go back and see maybe where that would actually rank them, because if you look at it off the top, it's got Arkansas, 11th and 9th, right? In terms of offensive and defensive efficiency. So we'll categorize it that way. 116.9 would actually have Arkansas a little bit higher. So they would project without Adu Thero that Arkansas would be better offensively. How about that? And so it would have them still in the same spot. That would be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So in the exact same spot. And then defensively is where they'd have a little bit of a drop off 93.4. Let's see. Would have them. Yeah, it's got them dropping quite a bit defensively without. Yeah, so you see Missouri right here, just outside of the top 25. They'd be 26 right there. So you'd have Arkansas just outside the top 25 defensively if you lost a Due Thero there. So still 12th and borderline top 25 and in both offensive and defensive efficiency. That's pretty good stuff there. I mean, I think you take that and we'll see where everything lines up for Arkansas. So what else can we do here? And what you have to remember when you're doing this is you have to account for everything every time you change it. So let's just assume for a second. Let's say Arkansas didn't have, or they're not going to have a Due anyway. And let's also take Carter Knox out. I just want to see what happens, right? I just want to see what happens if you do that. So both of those guys are gone. Let's say Carter is like, forget it. I'm going to stay in the draft. And that Arkansas didn't add anyone at all. And let's see what that looks like. What happens to him? Still 17th. So if Arkansas didn't return Carter Knox and didn't do anything else, that's kind of crazy to me. Do y'all believe that? I don't. I don't know that I could call Arkansas a top 25 team if they didn't have Knox and they didn't do anything else. But according to the computers here, 17th, man, in the rankings. That's pretty impressive without either one of those guys. And that like you have Jaden in your top 10 of your rotation. And there you have it. And you can see some of the things in here that they have, the different categories. So like the minutes distribution, offensive rating, and then their usage. So you can get a good idea for that. They like Malik Ewan a lot. They really do, which is good to see. I'm going to add Carter back into here real quick and get it with exactly what Arkansas has right now. So let's subtract Thero again. You got Carter in here, and let's look at that offensive rating and what they're projecting from some of these guys. I could sit here and nerd out on this all day. It does take a minute to load sometimes. It's got to read all that data and spit it back out. Okay, here we go. So your offensive rating, who would be the highest with your projected group? It's Malik Ewan offensively. And I believe that, man. He's an absolute bucket. At 120, that's really solid. Nick Pringle at 118. I think that's just because his shot selections go. So he's just dunking everything around the rim. He's not shooting threes, so you know that he's going to be highly efficient in there. Carter at 117, along with Trevin. That's impressive. That's good to see. Everybody's in a pretty good spot. 113 for Darius Acuff, 110 for Malik Thomas, right there with DJ Wagner. The only guy that they have, below average essentially would be Kareem Rattel. So there you have it. Okay, so let's do the thing where Thero's not going to be there. And then let's also take Knox out. But let's say Arkansas adds a transfer. Let's say they add Jameer Watkins, because that's our boy who we're watching, right? So if you had no Knox, but you did have Jameer Watkins, what is that going to look like for Arkansas? Remember, right now, with the roster is currently constructed, assuming Knox is back, Arkansas would be 12th. But let's say you don't have Knox and you do add Jameer Watkins. What does this turn into? Give it a second. Give it a second. Let the computers do their thing. We need some elevator music when we're waiting. I bet they're going to be right about the same. Let's see what we got here. Yep, 12th again. There you go. So that would effectively, according to Torvik, it would make up for the loss, right? It would make up for the loss of Carter Knox if you got Jameer Watkins. But that's not fun. We want to see what Arkansas would do if they had them both. Am I right? So let's try that. You get a Due Thero out of there. You're keeping Carter. And you're adding Jameer Watkins. And you could go and do this with anybody. And we'll submit that and see what it looks like. So think about this. When it had a Due Thero accounted for with Carter and everybody else, Arkansas was 8th. So basically, you're just swapping Adu for Jameer Watkins here, and you would be 8th again. So that's how highly they think of Jameer Watkins in this thing, that he could effectively just negate Adu Thero or Carter Knox in somebody's rotation. That's pretty impressive stuff. So I like that. I like that a lot. I like the way that looks. Let's try this real quick. Let's do just for fun, and then we'll wrap it up here. Basically, I just want to show people how to use this because it's a good time. And it should make you feel a little bit better about Arkansas' situation. For those of us who are, and I get it, you're just like, man, are they going to do anything? Have they done enough? And I mean, I've said it myself. Like, I don't think that they've done quite enough yet, because I want them to have arguably the best roster in the country. But even if they don't do anything else, the humans and the computers seem to think that Arkansas is going to be pretty darn good. So I like it. Well, let's get weird here and say that Knox was gone, that he decided to stay in the draft. And I don't think he is. I'm just messing with it here. Okay. But that if that happened, can we get Boogie Flam back in here? Where's he at? They haven't put him in the portal. Man. Oh, well. I really want to do that. Can I add him through here? Yes. Okay, I can add him through here. He's just on the departed list. Okay. So let's see what that would look like. Because that would be the only way, personally, that I would even think there would be a chance of getting Boogie back. Like if Carter's stock just went through the roof and he's like, you know what? I gotta strike while the iron is hot, man. I'm staying in the draft. And Boogie's stock dropped to the point where you're like, oh, he's going to come back to college, and where he was in the transfer portal and normally you'd think he's out of there, suddenly you have this huge spot open in the rotation. They're like, hey, man, run it back. Could you imagine what Rob Dowser would think if Arkansas then had 4 guards for 2 spots? He'd be in shambles. They'd have Arkansas 10th if you did that. So from 8th to 10th, if you lost Carter and had Boogie back. So you could do this stuff all day messing with it. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. The other thing I wanted to show you guys real quick, actually, before we get out of here, is these tabs at the top, right? And so Arkansas, for example, right now, if you're looking at them, you're like, well, why is it propping them up? Well, look where they stand in terms of returning minutes, 59.3%. Now, that's going to go down because you're not going to have Adu, right? But let me just click on this for the entire country. Look at these schools here who have the most returning minutes. You know what you're not seeing right here? You're not seeing big schools. You're not seeing power conference schools. You have Purdue, right? And that makes sense because they got Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer and Trey Kaufman-Wren. A lot of continuity back with them. But outside of that, it's Patriot League teams, Big Sky teams, Missouri Valley, Ivy League, and then you get to Arkansas, right? And so, again, like that would drop if you don't have Adu, but you're still going to be in the high 40 percentile range in terms of your returning minutes. Assuming you get Carter back, so between Carter, Billy, DJ, and Trevin, you're at nearly 50% of your minutes back. And where's the next SEC school? I'm scrolling. Vanderbilt at 48.1% of returning minutes. So assuming Arkansas gets their 4 guys back, you're going to be in a situation where you have among the most returning minutes from a season ago of any of the high major teams in the country. Isn't that absurd? But you have guys graduate, you have guys go pro, and then about 50% of the rest of them hit the portal. That's wild. That continuity is just no longer a thing in college basketball. It's unreal to think that having less than 50% of your minutes back could put you, near the top of the country in that particular category. I just can't get over that. I really can't. But anyway, so there you have, and they adjust that for injuries as well, but your returning minutes percentage and returning possession minutes is another part of this. So where's Arkansas at? 56.1% of their per possession minutes. Projected effective talent. This is pretty interesting, I feel like. Arkansas is up there at 82.3%. I wonder what this looks like. Wow. So from a sheer talent perspective that they're accounting for here, 87.8 with Kentucky. That's the highest. Congratulations to them, I guess, for being up there. But they went out and got a bunch of dudes out of the portal. And I also think it's a volume thing. I mean, he's got like 13, 14, 15 guys or whatever. So there's that. UConn, Houston, Duke, then Arkansas. Isn't that crazy? Man. At any rate. All right. That's all. Again, if you're listening in podcast form, like I said, it'll probably be a little bit easier if you were able to, I don't know, watch along as we're clicking and manipulating some of the data and everything, but get in here and play around with it. Like you can build your roster however you want. You can add, whoever you want to this thing and have a little bit of fun with it and flesh it out however you want. See what kind of winner you can put. What could you do to get Arkansas to number 1 in the country? Could you do that? Like keeping Carter and then adding, who are the top 2 transfers left? RJ Lewis and Jameer Watkins. Don't do that. That's not enough shooting. Find the best shooter, whoever that might be, and add him in there with Watkins and see if that takes Arkansas all the way up to number 1 there. At any rate, good times. Appreciate you guys, man, for tuning. I just want to do that, and it's this is a good situation for Arkansas. Right? The people who do this for a living think you're going to be good. The computer projections that are out there think you're going to be good, and you're not even done building your roster yet. So nice problem to have if you're the Razorbacks. Get subscribed where you need to get subscribed, folks. The Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. Find us in podcast form over on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen, and we'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but we're going to figure something out. But hop on here and mess around with these rosters and let me know in the comments what you put together and what you like. Find the combination that works. They get you that Final Four roster for the Razorbacks that we've all been looking for. But we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a good day. We'll see you in the morning.